got a beard?
No, it's
Is
never
Andy
bottom.
all weirdy beardy again?
I'm
Little
just
bit.
doing more bottom stuff. I should stop doing it.
I guess we're live.
Maybe we could get sponsored by Impulse RC because they do the reverb.
What? Oh, what you mean our current sound situation? Hello, if you're listening to this in the chat, before we start the intro, can you just let us know whether we've got a little bit of an echo going on?
Are we all sounding okay?
Yeah. Do we sound all right? You guys happy?
We've been
We
hearing echo.
shouldn't cut out, in theory, touch wood as I
Fingers
stroke my
crossed.
penis. I have an erection through most of the show because I'm looking at Andy RC.
Hello, welcome to my RC show. I'm Andy RC, and today I'm wearing a vest.
Hey, he's got the guns out for the lads.
Is it that hot, Tony, or what you been up to? Or have you?
It was the quickest thing to put on, which was in arm's reach.
Fair enough.
So
You
There
don't
we
want to be
go.
dealing with those pesky arms, do you, when you're putting on a t-shirt?
No echo and everyone's happy.
Right,
All
let's
right.
start the show.
Oh,
Hello and welcome to the second best show on the internet. Let's try now. Tonight we are joined by Andrew / Frank,
Hello.
Andy RC,
How's it going?
my little Coco,
bonjour.
Daddy,
Hello.
also known as Curry Kitten, Gav, who's Scottish. He doesn't have a translator, but Andy RC is going to repeat everything he says.
Get it up, yes.
That was Andy. Can you translate that?
Get it up, yes. We say something similar. It's like up yours, right? Get it up, yes.
And I am Bright Until I Fly. Hello, welcome, good evening. And we're here to talk about what life is like flying FPV in Scotland.
Well,
Somewhere
particularly-
that possibly has worse weather than the UK.
Here's
Only
the
for 10
UK,
minutes,
you
'cause then it
moron.
changes.
Whoa, Jack. Scotland is part of the UK. There
No,
was
they're not.
they're not.
They
They're
were
Scottish.
sensible. They voted to remain.
Yeah, so they're part of the UK.
No, they've lined Hadrian's Wall with explosives, and they're gonna blow it and float away. That's what I've heard.
Right. Well, yeah, I invited Gav on because I wanted to know more about what I've been hearing more about in the sort of race organisers chats that I lurk in, which is about a style of doing the finals at the FPV races called triple finals, which has kind of been frowned upon for many years, or however long it's been going, whatever. But it sounds like it's been quite popular in Scotland for quite a while, and now some of the English organisers have actually been to some of these events and seen how it's run and gone, actually that's quite good, we might borrow that and use that. So I thought it would be interesting to hear kind of a bit more about what that means, because I don't really know.
No, I don't. I just go into a bar and say, "Can I have a triple double?" and then that's it.
So Gav, could you explain for us idiots who don't know what it means, what is a triple final?
Triple final. So instead of just running a single race, winner takes all, we run 3 races. Basically, you've got your different groups. You have your A's, your B's, your C's, depending on where everyone qualifies. And the top ones, typically your top 12 pilots, will run 3 races each in their finals. You get a couple of points for each where you come, and then basically whoever ends up with the least amount of points comes out on top at the end of it. We found last year we did a lot of single finals and sort of knockout races, and someone could be totally on it all day and then get ran over in their final, or video problems or something, could ruin that one race, and they'd lose out. So we thought, we'll give this triple finals a try and bring in a bit of consistency rather than just that one race counting.
Yeah, because the sort of the way that the national championships has been run up to now has been sort of a case of saying, okay, the finals, yeah, they're kind of a bit, you can be lucky or unlucky, and that can have a massive impact on it. So we're going to ignore the final results, and we're going to do everything off the qualifiers for the rankings to pick who goes in the championships up to now. And there's some suggestion that maybe using the triple finals, maybe that kind of evens that out enough that maybe we could, do it off the final results from each event, and that was a very contentious point that's been talked about a bit at the moment that I've seen.
Yeah, I had I think it was Matthew Evans. I had a good conversation backwards and forwards with him on one of the BDRA pages. We do everything slightly different. So we use the same sort of qualifying format, but instead of treating each qualifying run as an actual race, it's more as a qualifying run, much like conventional motorsport. So we use staggered starts. Each pilot gets shouted out. You go. So it's not head-to-head racing through the qualification runs. It's literally pace setting. So we do that, and we're getting five qualifying runs. The faster pilots are obviously coming around and catching the slower pilots, but typically you're flying in open air to try and get your good laps in. We were using the same format, as many laps as you can get in a set time. We went from the sort of staggered starts qualifying to the heads up 3 times finals to finish it off and take that sort of, you're ranked on how fast you can go, and then you're putting your triple finals to see who can actually race it out.
Because is also the I think I'm right in saying that the scoring as well has sort of been borrowed from that same idea of that sort of the lower score gets you higher up the ranking. That's also been taken on for the British Championships as well, I think.
Yeah, we're pretty much just everyone's using the lifetime system, so we're pretty much relying on that. I think it's built in. With you can set up your triple mains. You get first, you get a point. You get second, you get 2 points. It's pretty simple, and it's worked out. We calendars 8 events. Our total miracle, only the weather only managed to cancel one, which is a total miracle for up here, to be honest. But we got our 7 races ran, and it worked out pretty well.
Yeah, because
with that, sorry, Frank, with that system, I'm just wondering if it's mathematically possible for people to end up with the same number of points, and is there some sort of tie-break system if that's the case?
It comes down to who's faster on an individual run. Or I think it's from the finals. I think it comes down to who's faster in the finals. So it'll add together. We're doing finals typically over 3 laps. It'll work out who did the fastest run. So if you had 2 people getting a first say, it'll work out who had the quicker first, and obviously it awards it to them.
Ah, cool.
And you guys use VTX timing, don't you?
Yeah, we use the VTX. The races I organise with the Edinburgh group, we get access to the full-blown TBS timer, the event timer, through a wee sponsorship with the Cool Toy Shop. The guys through in Glasgow have got the immersion one, and they've been letting all the other clubs borrow their timer. So I think some of the clubs have got the Delta 5s. We've got a Delta 5 kicking around somewhere as well. So it's all in the VTX timer.
This is a fun thing to watch as well, because that was again something where the Scottish lads have been running events on the VTX timing. Meanwhile, a lot of the particularly the more southern groups have been saying, VTX timing is never going to be reliable enough. It's never going to work. It's always going to be ILAPs. The transponders is going to have to be that way because it's just never going to be reliable enough, and then you lot all proved it worked, and then everyone went, "Oh, we'll do that then. That's a lot
And
easier."
it's so much easier for pilots because they ain't got to muck about with 5 volt out and 3 volt out here and all that lot. You can just turn up as long as you've got a good VTX. Do you have to have a certain VTX to run in your?
We pretty much try and say to use, well, we say to use a CE marked VTX, which basically means use a Unify or a Tramp, basically.
Right.
There's another couple I can't remember off the top of them. There is another couple of VTXs that are quite good. I think Maytech do one that the timers pick up quite good, but we don't nail it in. But it's highly suggested you use a Unify or a Tramp.
So don't turn up with a Chinese £5 VTX which
Yeah.
says it's 25 milliwatt and is never.
Yeah, you turn up with a cheap Chinese VTX and the timer doesn't pick you up. That's everyone's just going to laugh at you. And you're going to get no sympathy from everyone.
So how do you control your bubble, and do you do a run first and count everyone in, or how does it work?
I'm not quite catching you. Sorry.
Do you do practice and make sure everything works fine? Because
Yeah, so we'll
VTXs are different, aren't they?
typically start the day off. Well, going back, we've got a little bit of scrutineering. So some of the groups have got the wee immersion wand, so we'll wand everyone. It obviously it can't pick up the channels and stuff, but 9 times out of 10, the video problems we've found is because someone's got a broken VTX or a broken antenna. Sorry. So usually we can identify that at sign in. They can go away and fix their things. We'll run 2 practice rounds typically, unless the weather's mental, and we'll maybe run a third one. And then 5 rounds of quali, and then finals.
Cool. It sounds good. I mean, anything to not muck around with your race squad, it sounds good to me.
Yeah.
It seems like just a so much easier system to for the pilots, for the organisers. I mean, I remember, and I've seen so many events where you have lone transponders and all that kind of stuff, and it's like, no, never again. We can avoid
God,
that.
I remember them days.
Have you got with your particular Scottish weather, do you have to make any considerations with your tracks? Do you have to make them particularly
indoor
bigger gates or something? I don't know.
No, not really. Though, no. Typically, you throw up a field and you go with it. The exception of that is I run a race back in Easter. At the local high school, we've got access to an athletics track there, and the wind was absolutely ridiculous. So we've got these big rings that everybody hates, and the wind was catching you just as you were going through the rings, and it was pushing you off to the side. So when we ran our second round, which was the last round of our overall series, we kind of made sure that the rings were facing into the wind, so you weren't getting crosswind out through it. But you don't got to do too much. It's pretty much normal setup.
Plus, you're acting like the temperature's a million miles different. I think Scotland gets about a 2-degree difference than the rest of the UK. It's just London's just like an oven because it's packed full of people who hate each other, and it's the hate that makes everything hotter, I think.
That's probably the best thing you've ever said on this program.
I could say better things.
No, that was
I'm trying to behave tonight.
okay.
Not get in trouble.
We've also got coming up the British Championships, which is coming up soon. I can't remember how soon actually. I did know, and now I've forgotten. But that's coming up soon, and there's
20th September, I think. That sort of area.
And there's I think, is this the first year or is this the second year where we've had particular places based on the regions? And
I think it's the first year for regions.
Yeah, I think so. And so there's some particularly given up, sort of set aside, especially for the Scottish League, I guess, right?
Yeah, I think in past years, like I think last year we had sort of different organisation running the races, and the organizer Alan organised things with the BDRA and got certain places. We basically got all the Scottish groups together to form a little group. And I think it came down with the regional series is if you could run a race that qualified as a regional race, for every race you put on, you got a spot. So we put on 8 races. We were hoping each one was going to get enough numbers to qualify. We had 2 races up in Aberdeen, and it was a bit of a trek for everyone down in Glasgow and Edinburgh. So we weren't 100% sure if those races were quite going to qualify as regional races, but pulled it off. They got the numbers, and we ended up getting seven races to qualify as regionals. So I think we've managed to get the 8 because the last one might have been a BC as well. I can't quite remember.
So you guys in Scotland, the British champs, are hoping for rain and wind.
Yeah, so it's like flying up back home.
Yeah, so that's what
turf,
happened in
yeah.
Florida. Last time I flew a race was April in Florida, and excuse me, and everyone's spat out of hell, and then it clouded over and the wind got up, and I took first place just because it felt like home. So you guys would probably benefit from cloudy thunder and rain. Not that it's like that at all times in Scotland. It does have nice days.
But you've had
Well, you say that, but where I used to work, we used to talk all the time to Greenock, which is somewhere up in Scotland, and they had a saying about they could look out, and there was apparently this island there, and it was, if you can't see it, it's raining. If you can see it, it's just about to rain. It's literally, that's it. It's going to rain there. I suppose a more pertinent question is, how many deep fries Mars bars have you had? It's just getting back to Scottish culture now. This is what I know about.
wow.
Well, that's what I thought a triple. What was it? Triple heat.
Triple
Final,
finals.
triple main was
Yeah, triple final. Yeah, it was like 3 deep fried Mars bars. You eat them all at once, then you die.
Wow.
It's the triple heart bypass you need after them.
Yeah, everyone's got one of them.
Frank, is it worth putting the show in tile view just to be a pain in the ass?
I can do that.
Just because it's locked on. Gav, have you got any like sound in the background or
no. I'm
something?
in a quiet room. I'll mute my mic for a second and see if it's just background off that.
Oh, it must love you. Oh, it don't matter. We put it on the triple thing anyway, so.
We've got Kelsey in the chat. I wonder if she ever goes up Scotland flying.
Oh, where hasn't she been? A little stop out.
She's everywhere. If you look on
Yeah, I
Instagram.
know.
Like me and Andy were flying with her, and then you look on her Instagram the next day, and like she's by the sea, and I'm like, we couldn't have been any further away from the sea. They do some crazy traveling. Those guys.
She's got the dad taxi to use. That's like non-stop.
Yeah.
Are you just sore because you had to be the dad taxi?
Yes, it's annoying. Especially-
Back to school. If anyone's wondering, it's back to school for Curry Kitten. Dad, I'm going for lunch at 12. I want to be picked up at 2. That ruined.
Just about got time to go back, eat something, and come back and get me again.
You could
That's my
eat
life.
with them and stare at them, like each mouthful of hate.
Yeah,
That'll teach them.
I embarrass them good enough just for spotting them.
What's the weekend thing that we're going to? Frank, Tony, and maybe me.
I'm going to Headcorn this weekend, which is a event in Headcorn.
Headcorn
Oh, it's a
weekend.
place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're going to the Southern Model Air Show, I think is the proper name of the event, in Headcorn in Kent.
That's almost France. That is. What are you
Pretty
doing?
much.
I know if you travel down, you get a nosebleed, mate.
Yeah, I definitely would. if my car wouldn't make it that far. No
Isn't
chance.
that like massively southeast rather than south? I like to think of myself as south and Kent.
Well, I typed it and I can see France in the same shot. So it's pretty.
I expect it depends how far away you're looking from, though.
It's like Essex way, isn't it?
It looks pretty close to France to me. Yeah,
Essex.
Kent,
it
Maidstone.
not?
Yeah, south of Maidstone.
Oh right, yeah, Kent. Okay.
Yeah.
Tony, fact, everyone. Tony doesn't know where Essex is. Worrying me.
It's above Kent, isn't it?
Yeah.
Essex is massive, though, isn't it? It's like isn't it? Isn't it like a county? It's huge.
Well, it's
It's the birthplace of radio. That's all I'm going to say.
I used to do a lot of karting. They've got a kart track in Brentwood. That's Essex, isn't it?
Yep, that is old Essex.
Yes, I used to do some karting and some racing down there. Nice little track in
Don't you
Brent.
come from there, Jack?
Yep. I come
And
from
moving on.
Chelmsford, Essex. Charles Dickens said it was the most boringest spot on earth.
I thought Jack came from Whitehorse. That's why he hates us.
No,
Is that why Katie Price lives there then?
She lives
she
in
lived
Brighton.
in Brighton.
I thought she lived left when.
What are we talking about?
This is what happens. Sorry,
Gav?
Gav. We do this.
Tony
We
forgets your
totally
name.
Go off topic.
And
I
we
forget.
talk
the-
about a load of
the
bollocks.
host-
Tony forgets his own name sometimes.
What?
It's
I need to
alright.
learn. I'm
Let's
going to
play
win.
Dementia. Where are we going this weekend? Essex. Yeah, that's Ken. Where did I get this dog? That's how I imagine. I got two dogs.
That's
Where
quite
did I
good.
get
Where,
two
where
dogs?
did this come from? Yeah.
So,
I like
Gav,
that.
after the nationals in a couple of weeks' time, and the seasonal resets, are you gonna be jumping back into doing loads more events, BQEs and things, or are you gonna be doing like loads of tiny whooping over as the weather presumably gets as bad as it has been here recently, or what's your plans for the rest of the year?
I think you're still muted.
Ooh.
Still muted, mate.
Still muted. You hear me now?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, that's embarrassing. I can't see me putting on another event this year. I think the Glasgow guys are going to put an event on just to make up for the one that got cancelled. We've got quite a regular tiny whoop night through in Edinburgh pretty much every Wednesday. So there's talk about doing loads of whooping through the winter and getting a wee whoop league on the go or something, but nothing sort of planned yet. Just take it as it goes, really.
Nice. What's the name of the group? I mean, do you run it, or are you just kind of running the events, or what's the group?
It's all it's very sort of loosely thrown together. We've got a little group where there's like a rep for each of the Scotland group. So there's, we talk guy from Aberdeen, guy from Glasgow, guy from Fife. We all sort of, work between us and organise things, and they've got guys that, help them put on the events. Yeah.
So if anyone is going to Edinburgh at any point sometime soon, and they want to see if there's a tiny whoop event going on, is there anywhere particular they can find out?
There's a couple of places on Facebook. There's the Edinburgh FPV community page. That's the overall community for sort of flying in Edinburgh. And then our group that puts on the events is the Edinburgh Drone Racing. You can find that on Facebook as well. And we'll put the events up on that and then share them around.
And we'll have to keep an eye on you as well, because it seems like any new change in racing that you come up with, we'll get to eventually. So we'll just stay ahead of the curve by watching what you're doing.
Well, we've been trying to do like we thought we were behind the curve, so we were trying to come more in line with everything down south. Like last year, a lot of the races used the the fastest 3 consecutive laps as your qualifying. And we were like, no, we've got to change that. We've got to get in line with everything else. And now there's talk of everyone else going back to that. So,
So you're hipster race organisers. That's what you're saying.
that's it. Trendsetters.
Yeah.
He's
I think
trained.
your, Mr. Frust is in the chat. Is he one of your guys that you're sending down to
Yeah,
the champs?
he is
isn't
indeed. I think there's 8 of them, all coming down. I think I'm going to pop down myself. I don't have a ticket unless I can bump off one more guy because I qualified. I qualified 10th and one's cancelled. So if I can bump one more guy off, I can race myself.
That guy absolutely destroyed us on Velocidrome, didn't he, Mr. Thrust? Remember ages ago?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was.
He's like a alien flying or
Me and
something.
Jack met the Scottish guys at the first ever British Nationals.
Mm,
Mr.
couldn't
Frust,
understand what they were saying.
a couple of others. They took us under their wing.
Yeah.
But they were really
They
nice.
taught us how to survive in harsh climates.
Yes, because it rained and stuff, and they had everything that we needed. They were good guys.
Harsh climate. Oh my god.
Me and Frank have never looked at Nutella the same ever again.
Oh, since Ragley Hall. Yeah.
Yeah.
That
Oh
was,
my god.
That was a
Uh,
grim weekend.
Horrendous. I'm surprised I've got all my toes. They didn't like freeze off and snap. It was like how I didn't die of pneumonia. I don't know.
I'm just going to do a quick shout out for everyone in the chat. Mr. Fruitcake, what's up? The fake Neil Jones, hello. Chris E. Wynne Davis is in the chat. Kelsey, what's up? Mr. Frost is in the chat. Aries is always in the chat. Thank you, Aries. Spider. Martian McFly. Did I say that right this time?
He's from Essex.
Who else? Let's see. That's about it. Drone Racer and Ed just saying hello. And Radley Cole FPV. And Stylish 187. There you go.
Well, does anyone remember NJ? I remember him. He's a nice guy.
I recall something about him, but
I can't remember what he looks like.
Well, if you saw his last Instagram post, there was a picture of him holding a guitar with about 120,000 people behind him.
That
So
or this.
I think, which one would you choose? I think I know which life I would choose. I think he's very busy. He's got a busy schedule. It'd be nice to have him on. But
I've been playing Rocket
Peter
League with him.
Marshall,
That
he's
counts.
not invisible this week.
Sounds like you need to do a train spotting type voiceover of like choose life, choose FPV, instead of choosing like fame and fortune and playing guitar in front of thousands of people.
well, even I'm
Do you
choosing.
reckon he cut
guitar.
his legs off, his finger and his hand?
I don't think he would.
What? What the hell does
Jack
that mean?
and Curry were streaming the most disturbing game in the world last night. Jack was like, "Oh, this will be a funny little detective game," and it
I don't want to spoil it, but Jack cut off most of his own limbs and then sacrificed a baby.
Not in real life. Not
Very,
in a Savile way.
very similar to real life. I mean, you could have said that and I'd have believed it, to be honest.
You download this game, you're going on a serious list. They're
I
watching
bet.
you now.
Oh man, I uninstalled it.
He's already on a load
I
of
miss
it.
NJ as well. So, Andy RC, if I hold something up, can you talk about it?
I fell for that the last time, and we were in the disabled toilets, and
And you took advantage.
yeah, he did.
So, like, what can I do about not enough memory? Script error.
What can you do about not enough memory? Oh my! Well, oh man, what are you doing? Do I have to talk about this?
I mean, it can't be NDA because it's on Banggood.
Oh no, it's not NDA. It's just talking about another controversial product that I just.
Scotland tour.
Donation for Paris.
Thank God. I thought
Well, I tell you what, if you I've got a X9D discontinued version and you are running out of memory because it's 6 years old, maybe you could pick up the new version that has got a bigger
Thank you,
bigger processor
Aries.
and,
Oh,
and
there we
more
go.
RAM.
Thank you, Aries. Donation to the LDO On Tour Scotland 2020 fund.
Gav, this is hot. Remember that sensation? You might have felt it once.
When the sun's
Today,
come out.
summer. How's Andy RC whiter than you? That's what I don't understand. I can say whatever I like because I know the editor's going to cut this bit out.
I'm just in a darker room. That's all it is.
Well,
Oh,
he might live in Scotland, but I don't leave the house, so the sun never reaches me. So that's why. If you want,
thanks, Aries.
if you want to know the answer. Did I tell you about that Tyrannus thing earlier or something? I must have done. I've forgotten.
Oh, look, you can see the frame. What was wrong?
Nothing.
Did you, what? Tell me.
Did I tell you about the new Tyrannus? That's what I was working on.
Yeah, I mean, I happen to be on GitHub, and I noticed that something's missing. Do you see anything missing?
I don't see anything missing. No.
God, you're not biting.
And nobody else knows what you're talking about except for Andy.
Ah, do you know why? It's not missing. This I've got. Shall I? I mean, shall I talk about this for a bit?
Yeah.
I mean, I've got a video.
Look, this is what happens to me, right? I switch my transmitter on.
Well, the fact that it's saying Sega's taken up quite a bit of memory already. To be fair.
Yeah, and then I go menu, and then I go to my SD card, and then I go Crossfire, and then I go into that, and I go Crossfire Lure, execute, and then it says waiting for Crossfire devices, which is not a good...
And then sometimes it says error.
Yeah, it kind of helps if I'm on a Crossfire model, so that my external module's powered. That might help.
Yeah, so I found a lot of stuff out today. Oh man, the video's probably going to be about 40 minutes long, but
Well, don't worry, we've only got 20.
I'm just going to interrupt. NJ must have been listening in because he's
NJ, if you hear this, I'm sorry about mentioning Sophie Ellis-Bextor.
he sent a picture into our Let's Run Out chat, and he's at the theatre. But next week I'm down, he said. So NJ may be back next week. Thanks for listening in.
I've
NJ.
even got a bottle of Jack's Tears for how much I miss NJ.
Is that how much you've cried over? Oh, I know.
Oh,
right, okay.
NJ! I've got all my electronics wet. Great.
Right, it's better than what's usually all covered over your face.
Look, it happened once in that disabled toilet, and you won't let it go.
You see in Scotland they deep fry things, but down south they like sticking things up their bum, is what I've learned.
Only in Brighton.
Yeah. Anything goes up there. Socket set. This lighter. Tony if it goes up there.
And back to the racing
So
scene.
Andy, Tyrannus, that's a thing, right?
Right, so this is the very poorly titled X9D plus SE 2019 edition. I think it's poorly titled because when you put a date at the end, of something, it kind of suggests that next year you're gonna have to buy the 2020 version.
Is it going to be like FIFA? Every year they just release a new model, but they won't put anything in. They just scribble out the 19 and put 20 in.
So when I first saw this and like powered it up and everything, I was like, because I've been trying to be unbiased about FR Sky because I reviewed the X Lite Pro, and when that turned up, it just basically had the access protocol on it and nothing else.
Oh, disclaimer: Andy's talking.
was talking. Any views expressed by any guest on this show are personal and may not reflect the views of host or the participant of the show. And we'd like to pretend Andy is talking. Plus, please excuse awful Scottish accents that he may or may not do. Please continue,
Please.
Andy.
Please do another one. Can you do the rest of this in a Scottish
No,
accent?
no.
And has someone
Look,
got a
people
mobile
donate
phone?
to listen to it.
Someone
Tony,
got a
stop
mobile
talking.
phone near their PC, because all I can hear is mobile phone stuff. Andy, please do the rest of it in a Scottish accent. No offence to anyone. Go.
You can't say when you say no
Everybody in
offense. That just means I'm allowed to be offensive. My problem is I can only do Scottish words that have been said in Still Game. So when a word comes along that I've not heard in Still Game, it doesn't work. So
Go back to English.
You've got a
More
Scottish
about the
resource there.
How do you hooked me in? And
How
now
do you say Tyrannus, Gav?
I can't say Tyrannus in a Scottish accent. I don't think Tyrannus is that how you'd say it? The
You're
old
over him,
You
mate.
just roll the R's a lot, and it kind of does most
Give us
of
an
it.
example.
rolls the R's.
The Tyrannus.
The Tyrannus. Aye, that's it. It's a piece.
To do it. Tyrannus.
At first, I thought it was a piece of shite, but now I really like it.
You're in.
No, right, okay. I don't know whether. Just watch my video.
Have you released it?
No, it's probably going. I'm seeing Lee tomorrow. I'm seeing Painless tomorrow, so it's probably going to be Saturday when it comes out. But I filmed it and everything.
When are these on? When are they on sale?
You can buy them now. The problem is, in short, I wouldn't buy it now. It's if you bought it now, you'd be an early adopter because it's got is the access protocol, D16, and that LR12 is that long range something or other, and then
that's the thing in then. The X9 Lite didn't have LR12, did it?
yeah, so they've added that. Yeah, this is the thing. This is the problem. Is that like each time a new product comes out, they've developed OpenTX a little bit more, so you've got something else on it. So what I will say, okay, I'll say, I wouldn't get it now because
But I haven't got enough memory. Kind of like Tony.
so it comes with the external module. It has multi-module. It has R9 access. It's got everything that you can do on the current X9D, but it's got more memory. So it does Lewis scripts. It's got what is strange is that it no longer supports a 3S voltage. It supports 2S, and the reason for that is it's got a built-in charge circuit through the USB port that uses it only charges lithium ion. Yet it doesn't come with the battery. You have to buy the battery separate, but it's 3,000 milliamp 2S. So, in short, I wouldn't buy it now. But if they act on all of these nightly build promises and that gets released as a proper version, it's going to be an absolute beast. This thing. Because it's the same form factor, same ergonomics, whole sensor gimbals. I'm trying to think what it's got. It's got. I think this is going to be a love-hate thing. It's got a scroll wheel here instead of the 4 buttons, so that's taken some time to get used to. But other than that, yeah, it's a funny one because. First of all, they said access was going to be available on the X9D eventually, but they failed to mention that you'd have to buy a brand new X9D that's got completely different hardware inside. So, yeah, the communication's been a bit sketchy, and it seems like even they don't know the full direction. For example, if you want access on the I found this out. You know is it the QX7? That's a popular transmitter. and the Horus, they're both going to have new boards, which they're going to sell separate to put in them. So they're not discontinuing those. The X Lite, the first version, has already been discontinued, so you can only get the X Lite S and the X Lite Pro. So that's how they've sorted that out. But yeah, it's all a little bit messy at the moment. So I ended the video saying I'm going to be sticking with my current gear until this overtakes it software-wise, and if it does, then it's going to be the go-to transmitter.
Is it bigger than the old one, or exactly the same? I've got the
Same
very,
moulding.
very, very first one, which
Same-
apparently was smaller.
Same molding, apart from obviously this here.
Japan radio scroll wheel.
Yeah, although it's a common misconception that FR Sky like copied the JR system. That's not true. They were an off-the-shelf mold that you could buy from a company called I think they're called KST. Don't quote me on that, but it'll be in my video because I can't remember the name. But they did it. They bought the molds as an off-the-shelf product to save money, so that they could develop the internals, so that it could be a cheap, affordable transmitter, but compete with Futaba. And then they come out with this access thing and those letters about. It doesn't make sense to me why those letters with Jumper went out, knowing that if they're using the same hardware as the others, it's inferior. So if you're going to use the Lua scripts with the Jumper stuff, you're going to have the same problems. Perhaps they were worried that they could retrofit the boards that they were going to release to upgrade the Q7 and the Horus. That's my theory, but I can't. It's just a guess. That is.
I'm still going to watch your video.
I think it's
Yeah.
the E949. No, ER394. Chris E asks, props off. I've had an issue where the ER349 does a sudden yaw when coming off the throttle after a full throttle punch out. So would appreciate advice on a better tune. Tune Master, what do you suggest?
Was that the ER version? Did he say, or the diatone version? Because the ER version, that's the Ishin version, isn't it?
Yeah, it
Yeah.
says
The
ER.
Ishin was the SX, wasn't it?
Say again.
Wasn't the Ishin the 349 SX?
No,
Something
no,
else.
no. That was the 369 SX was the diatone one. The ER, that was Ishin. The E stood for Ishin, and then the.
Yeah. Mine was over there, but I can't see the box.
I'm pretty sure mine flew okay out of the box, but I did come up with a tune for the diatone 349. But when you say he's doing a punch out and it's yawing after the punch out.
Yes, sudden yaw after the punch out.
I would say that was probably something to do with the anti-gravity gain,
Yeah,
maybe.
you need more eye or something.
Yeah, I gain issue probably. Yeah, maybe either too little or too much. But I'd experiment with your I term. And the I term relax. Make sure it's RPY and not RP, because RP is roll and pitch. But it's a difficult one. I get asked all these questions, but unless you've got it there, in front of you, it's kind of tricky to diagnose. But it sounds like an I term problem. Yeah. So I'd look into that.
Does. Hey guys,
right.
Sorry,
Email.
you were going.
Daddy
Or
first.
do I go? All right. I was going to say.
Daddy.
Who's going, Jack? Me or you?
Daddy.
All right then. We got an email this week about
It's
asking.
exactly what I was going to bring up.
Oh, were you now?
Yeah.
Like father, like son.
Head-
Isn't
look,
it sweet?
phones out, emails.
Well, would you like to talk about it? Or do you want me to talk about it?
Daddy, go.
All right. So
Did it say
we-
set food or something?
we got an email today from a viewer that ran into a problem. I will summarise his email rather than reading it. Basically, he was flying in London. He was in sort of a common area in a gated community he lives, and the concierge called the police on him. They came round asking if he took photos of peoples and flats, and he's saying he only took peoples at the horizon with the sunset. And the police left, didn't take any further action. But he's obviously a bit concerned about it. He's like, he understands the rules about 30 meters away from landing and taking off, and 50 meters distance from vehicles, people, buildings. So he wants more info about where you can or cannot fly drones, especially in London, which I guess is a tricky area. Although I found the most interesting part about that mail, I thought, was about the pictures and what you're allowed to take pictures of or video. Because unless you're actually going out and spying on someone, you're going to be using the images for terrorism or something like that. You're actually free to take pictures of anything.
Disclaimer, come on. All I was
I've already
talking
read
about-
it.
I was just saying FR Sky, and you just said terrorism, and that.
Well,
doesn't
that's
deserve-
that's
Well,
one of
going to flag up now because you both said it twice.
All right.
bombs in Tony's house under the bed. That's it.
Tony done Gatwick.
This this comes up quite often. That the police, I often hear about like
Just
police
not, it's not the police.
asking for SD cards out of people's like cameras because they're saying you're not allowed to take pictures of this. Even like people have been in. I remember reading this on the register, like people in like Trafalgar Square or Buckingham Palace taking pictures of it, and they say you can't take pictures of this. You might be using it for terrorism. It's like, apart from the fact it's a national landmark, they've got no rights to ask to take pictures of you. So one thing is, it's like, well, it's none of your business what I'm doing, as long as I'm not running after people and spying on people. I can take pictures of what I like. There's no actual right for people in a public place to not have their photos taken, unless you're doing it for commercial purposes, where you might be publishing it and they're identifiable. That's a different thing. If you're just flying around filming stuff, you can do what you like. But as for the position of where you can fly, I'd probably defer to Frank as a London resident and expert on all things the law.
Yeah,
so
because of him and his little painless relationship.
Yeah.
I remember when Painless used to like me more.
Yeah, well, that was before he met
Oh,
you.
me and poor Andy RC left out in the cold like a couple of orphans.
That's not true. I was just killing babies with you last night.
Yep. We don't talk about that.
This is so going to get flagged up. With terrorism, killing babies, the Queen has been mentioned.
There's nothing that your Alexa hasn't
Oh
heard
my
before.
God.
Tony done Gatwick. Hashtag.
There's another one.
Free Danny. I
I
mean,
don't want that hashtag of Tony Dungat because I was there.
yeah, exactly.
He
At
admits
the
it.
scene of the crime, you admit it.
Stood on top of that van flying thing.
And do not use that in the editing, please.
Editor, send that to me.
No.
He's gonna have that as his. He's
Yeah.
gonna replace the Sega thing. That is.
Gatwick, I was there. Oh, God.
well, anyway, yeah. Back to the question. So there's a few things that I think are important. Unfortunately, I can't get the stream off of watching Curry, so Curry's now just the face of LDO for here.
Oh, mine's still on Gav. It's been on him all day.
It's been on Gav all
yeah,
time.
it's mildly
It's facing
broken.
Scotland.
Sorry.
I'm looking at Curry. All I can see is Curry.
Does talking about him? Does it make you hungry? Does it make me hungry
Do
sometimes?
they have haggis
Wow.
curry up there?
Haggis
That's
curry.
racist,
I
Tony.
can't say I've had haggis curry, no.
Have you ever
Anyway,
had iron brew and milk? No, iron brew's shite now, thanks to the sugar tax. Sorry about that.
Everything's shite because of the sugar tax, though, isn't it?
We just pay it and keep.
Does
drinking it.
Iron Brew reach as far south as you, Jack? Because I can just buy it.
No,
It goes. Are
definitely.
you serious? You didn't.
No,
Yeah.
can't get it. Stopped
It's
at
on
the
the
man.
border.
supermarket as the like import stuff, like
that mean
American
I-
sweets,
Just talk
iron brew
over
from
us.
places afar.
Does that mean I'm
A mystical
northern
land.
if I can get Iron Brew?
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
If you can get Iron Brew, you're northern.
Just talk over us, Frank. Just shut up, shut up, shut
It's
up.
just yeah.
So, in addition to the 30 meters when taking off and landing and the 50 meters during a flight, there is also 150 meters separation required from crowds and built-up areas, or congested areas is the terminology. And there's a definition. This is something that I'm gonna do a video with Painus on, because this is a new definition that I wasn't aware of because I hadn't read every page of the ANO. But there is a definition. I know, failure. There is a definition of a congested area, which is any area that is substantially used for industrial, commercial, residential, or recreational purposes. So that's where I'm kind of thinking that kind of means nowhere. But the CAA have said that it's kind of a bit more ambiguous than that, and it's intentionally so, and there's a lot of kind of fluff around it. But it basically means don't fly within 150 meters of the city, which kind of precludes any flying in cities. But they've also it's from what I can
Are you
tell.
allowed to take off in the Queen's Park?
No.
Okay, so most parks in inner city London are a no-go.
Yeah,
The congested area is an interesting thing as well, because if any of you guys watched, I used to do these meets called Mad Dogs from ages ago, and it was in a cricket field in Oxfordshire, just outside a very small village, and we actually had a CAA guy look at the place, and he defined that as a congested area, despite the fact that it was more countryside than you could ever imagine. That the ambiguity of what a congested area is was always quite bad.
recreation, and therefore is a congested area by the technical definition. But they've also said that it's kind of, I think they are very unlikely to actually care about that unless you're actually causing some other trouble and they're trying to get you on something, is what they've kind of said reading between the lines. So it's really annoying. It's a bit stupid, but there we go. So there is that to be aware of. There's also the no-fly zones, obviously around airports, but there are other ones as well. So around Buckingham Palace there is one. Around the MI5 building, all this kind of thing. There's extra little no-fly zones that you have to be aware of. The best place to see most of those is noflydrones.co.uk is what I use to get at least an idea. What I'm kind of disappointed about is that we don't have one single place where we can find out all this kind of stuff, because if you go on the French equivalent of the CAA, they have a lovely map that down to the buildings and like levels of villages and all these kind of things says don't fly here, can fly here kind of thing, which it would be kind of nice to have, and we don't have that in the UK. We just have kind of, here's some, someone has put together a tool. They're not an official body or anything. It's just they've collected NOTAMs, which are the notifications to airmen, and general kind of different sources of information, and collected it together, and it's not official, and other people can add their own things that were completely like just made up. So if you own a building somewhere, or even if you don't, if you just feel like I want to have my contact details put on this map to say if you want to fly a drone here, contact me first, and you can do that on noflydrones.co.uk. But it's so it's not an official thing. You couldn't go to the police and go, look, there's nothing on here, see, it's fine. But it's a good kind of first pass to see, is there something I don't know about, But yeah,
I'll tell you what I would really like to see as well. Just going somewhere in a big open space and have a sign that says "Drones welcome here." Wouldn't that be
that would be
a
nice.
breath
That'd
of
be
fresh air?
nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah. So that's the other thing. There are model fields around the country where you can fly model aircraft and say things like if you have insurance, public liability insurance up to this amount, then you can fly here for more between these hours on these days. There are places like that, and I've flown at many of those, but they're not centrally recorded anywhere. You can't look them up. You just have to kind of stumble across them.
We need an LDO app.
Yeah, well,
No, we don't.
It'd probably be wrong, wouldn't it, every
Yeah.
time?
it's just like
There's
point
someone
you
in
to
the
like
chat.
Like a
local
lot of maintenance.
airbase or something.
Scotland. It's Harry Haggis, FPV's in the chat. I mean, that is definitely someone from Scotland.
Um,
Sorry to interrupt
yeah,
you.
yeah. The other thing is there's also loads of places that specifically ban you from flying model aircraft or drones or whatever else that you wouldn't know unless you trawl through the local council's things or they come and shout at you. And that's not good either. I think that's just kind of it's not really fair. We need to if you're gonna record local bylaws and try and enforce them, then you shouldn't just hide them in a filing cabinet in a toilet cubicle in the basement marked "Beware of the Tiger." It's not on. And there
No,
needs to be...
and the other thing there is people may ask you not to fly there, but they need a better reason than they don't want you to.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's private property, that's one thing, but if they're saying it's not allowed here, then you need to say, well, can you point me to the bylaw and I'll check it out?
Yeah.
Unless they're in a specific like owned bit, it's someone's
What
property or something.
are the best reasons you've heard for people not wanting you to fly there? My personal favourite is it upsets my dog.
Oh yeah, I had that. Last week. Yeah. So yeah. Did I? Did
Better
I?
read
Did,
the disclaimer again.
did I say
Well,
this? On-
Andy's talking.
That's not a disclaimer. That's just a warning.
See previous disclaimer.
Yeah. So yeah, I was in the middle of a review, and some local lads came and joined. Like their fans, they watched the channel and stuff. And yeah, like some of them got like really young members of like family with them, and I was flying around, and this lady's, I think, like you can't say pit bull, is it Staffordshire Bull Terrier, would you say, because pit bulls are banned, aren't they? I
Pitbulls
think?
are not allowed in this country.
Well, it was one of them. It was one of them, as the Scottish would say, devil dogs. That's how they say it.
Well,
Am
the
I right?
nanny dog that we all talked about 2 weeks ago, which are really nice dogs, Staffy, but the
What?
news have made them bad. Yeah, that one.
Yeah, that one.
That
Well,
one.
anyways, like you know,
Going for Staffies.
quite a lot of the time, the owners love it because and this particular dog has been doing this for quite some time. When I'm flying around, obviously the dog starts to chase you, and so I was with these, you know, there's a couple of adults and some kids, and so I'm just flying around and stuff, you know. Trying to like stay away from the dog really, but obviously the dog's chasing, and the lady comes up swearing her head off, and saying when she said, when you see my dog, can you land that effing thing? And she said it's scaring my dog, and obviously it's not scaring the dog,
No,
otherwise
it would run the other way.
it would run the other way. So there's that. So I just said, could you just mind your language, please? Because there's some children here, and she just shook her head and walked away. Yeah, so I had that recently. That was a weird one. You get it sometimes, but in general, people are interested more than not, But you do get the. I was a bit like, you know, my quadcopter doesn't shit all over this field and require a bin and a man that has to come and pick it up. Your thing does. So why do you have more rights than me, and why isn't it on a lead if it's so scared of everything? I didn't say any of that, but
I
that's
have to say, there's
my
very
thought.
little control of dogs. When people think they're in a place where they can let dogs go, I don't know about you guys, but if you've got your stuff over the floor, dogs are obviously very excited and they run up to people, and I get my stuff jumped over all the time, and I almost never say anything. But sometimes I get like stuff covered in bits, and when I'm in my goggles, I take my glasses off, and that gets put on the floor. And if a dog's run over there, I turn into like it's an episode of Scooby Doo. I'm searching around on the floor for my glasses, trying to find them. So, I think dog owners could be a little bit more respectful as well. Yeah, because my dog likes if he sees like a picnic blanket out, or she knows that there's food there and will go and jump on it. So I put her on the lead because I know that's going to happen. If
Yeah.
other people know their dogs are going to jump on people, then take action to stop them doing it. And if they're going to run after a quad and you don't want them to, put them on the lead. It's pretty easy.
Yeah, responsible dog owners should put them on a lead. And the thing is, she's saying, "Can you land?" And I'm like, "I can't land because your dog's chasing it. So if I land, it's going to get props in its face. The best thing for you to do is put it on a lead, and then I can land it." But she wasn't willing to do that. So what I do is I go to the other side of the field where the dog's there, and then I bomb it back faster than the dog and land in a safe place and go and grab it. I've gotten quite good at that.
One woman wanted me to hover in place so she could retrieve her dog, and then got all uppity with me because I was like moving around. I was like, I can't. This is not a quad I can hover. If I'm
Yeah.
hovering, I'm looking up in the air.
Yeah.
I can't see if I'm over your head. So no, I'm gonna have to take it away.
I had one lady say, "Will you land that thing?" So she's standing next to me, and of course I came in for landing, and she said, "Get that thing away from me!" And I said, "You've just asked me to land it." She said, "Yes, go and land it over the other side of the field." And I'm like, "No. First of all, I don't have to land it. I'm just doing so because you're being a see you next Tuesday." And
Disclaimer.
And that
Yeah.
is far too far to walk for a northerner.
plus if I yeah exactly.
Also, it's the north. Someone will nick it if he lands it anywhere else.
Yeah. It's been there 5 seconds.
All of these people though aren't local people, luckily. So it's people that like go, "Oh, this field, I've not been here before. Oh, there's a guy buzzing a thing around." And I have the right of way with my shitting machine. Sorry, pooing machine. I love dogs.
Esther, said shit.
I love dogs.
Do you go off to people and say, "Excuse, this is a local field for local people. We don't want your kind here."
I love dogs more than people, which it's the owners that are the problem, not the dogs.
Always the owners.
Hmm.
Well,
As these
as a
says,
last little
taking
note,
2 dogs to head one.
as a last little note before we sign off, because it has come to that time. Fraser Steen in the chat is asking for some help contacting local MPs because his local park is being subjected to a public spaces protection order that is going to basically mean he's not allowed to fly there anymore.
Boo.
Yeah. Shouldn't they be sorting out Brexit rather than parks and drones and things?
Yeah, you'd think.
You'd think so, wouldn't you?
Don't
Yeah,
get
but
onto that
drones
subject,
act
Jesus.
of terrorism on Brexit.
Yeah.
I only learnt yesterday what eyes to the right and nose to the left mean? I thought they meant eyes and nose.
And on that note, Jack, can you sign us off before Andy goes on a dangerous political spiel?
Yep, no worries. Thank you very much for listening to Let's Drone Out. You have been joined by Andrew / Frank,
Bye.
Liability RC. That's you, Andy.
Oh, sorry. What did you call me?
Liability RC.
Get it up, yeah, wee fanny. Goody.
My little Tony,
Bonjour.
the curry kitten,
Goodbye.
the sweaty. That's you, Gav.
Nah, trust me, I sweat way more. That's why I'm so good at the Scottish accent. I think something's going on there.
It's Cockney rhyming thing. Say bye, Gav.
All right.
Cheers.
That is how we talk without letting you Scottish people know what we're talking about.
Or each other by the sounds of it.
Yeah, we don't even know what we're talking about.
And I've been Brian. Bye. Thank you very much, guys. Tune in next week. Like, subscribe, donate to the Patreon, or just send money directly to Andrew / Frank in an envelope. Thank you. Don't do that.
Bye.
Who spoke the most today? Gav, it says 1 hour 6 minutes. That can't be right.
No, I think I must have had a wee bit of noise coming through mine that just held on to it.
Ah, okay.
Yes.
Thanks, Gav, for coming on.
Thanks,
for
man.
having me.
It's a pleasure. If you're ever down south, we'll get you a supper.
And factor 50.
I like spraying Andy RC with download.
All right.
Yeah, I was wearing Factor 50 at the weekend. It was needed, wasn't it, Andy? Bloody art, wasn't it, for once?
Right. I'm going to hit stop. Bye.
Like,
All right.
Everyone.